right now, something great has just been shown to us, and with that said, I don't have to yell, complain, or even think about the Legion of Lame, as now when it comes to Kendrick Lamar and Jay-Z. Oh wait, their returns made everyone crash out, so I guess I gotta say it.
I'm not gonna lie, Kendrick Lamar and Jay-Z trying to return right before Iceman is crazy. Like that's actually insane, bro. Even Taylor Swift, like, bro, like, come on, bro. Like, why is everyone like hating on Drake, bro? Come on, this album is about to be generational. Like, let Drake cook.
So get ready to help me say it. Now, when it comes to Drake, and I can't hold back the Big Mac attack! DJ Academics as well. I'm not yelling it. I just can't even fathom these people anymore. Well, if you are ready to see how Kendrick Lamar and Jay-Z decided to step outside on the same day in some serious ways and for how cryptic and quiet they generally move, from the simplest things here to the most severe, it's both managed to cause a lot of crash outs, but also for all of us who actually love music, it is showing that with two of the rappers who many would say are on the Mount Rushmore and they are higher than that, well, what we are seeing here and what they just planted is showing that they are going to be only getting more busy as the year goes on, and we are definitely going to see music from one of them.
These different artists like Kendrick and Jay-Z, Taylor Swift, whoever else, you know, announcing these big projects, and you can clearly see that it has to do with Drake dropping Iceman soon. It just shows you the gravity and the pull that Drake has. I'm not even trying to glaze right now. Feel me? I'm just being honest. Like, Drake is such a mega artist, and it's almost like people are trying to capitalize on him and his viewership by dropping, you know, little subliminal disses here and there.
There is a level of crash out and cope that we see nobody else bring anything quite close to. And so now with Kendrick Lamar and Jay-Z crossing paths and well being a part of something that, from Jay-Z doing another interview and a really great one, to Kendrick showing up for a rare appearance in a media day where they were both honored in, well, what I am talking about and what has started the return of the kings of the rap game is a music list and title that clearly matters to all parties involved, which is this list and series that the New York Times has released of the 30 greatest songwriters ever.
Did you guys look at that list? Because I didn't even see that, but I'm sure it's got to be a little bit controversial. I'm sure they probably left some people out, maybe added some people you guys may have thought shouldn't be on there. I didn't even see that list. To be fair, I might need to check that out after this.
About losers, crybabies, and people who don't even listen to music, like Academics.
Nah, chill on Academics. He's a legend. He's a legend. Even if you don't like Academics, you gotta acknowledge all the work that he does. Like, that dude constantly reporting on everything. That dude is a legend. We gotta respect him. I can't lie.
When you see what they rolled out to celebrate people like Kendrick Lamar and Jay-Z, which, well, for Kendrick Lamar, they literally brought out the one and only, the legend George Clinton, to just speak on him and say this. I'll put it like this, he, along with Motown, Sly Stone, and the Beatles, that kind of institution is gonna last. There are a lot of slick writers out here nowadays with lyrics and things, but he writes with soul. He's a young kid, but when I met him, he sounded my age. He talks like a psychiatrist on record. He talks about things that most people are afraid to talk about. He's at that point where he can move the conversation. Nobody will talk about these topics, and he talks about them so matter-of-factly that you don't even think. You can't say that. And with George Clinton also praising Kendrick for making this commercial, you can see the rest of what he had to say here. Overall, with this, talking about writers, having other artists talk about the best writers, and just having these conversations about the greatest musicians in general, and having it come from some of the other greatest musicians in general, you see where the problems are starting to have George Clinton put Kendrick alongside Motown, Sly Stone, and the Beatles, and then just go into the detail praising him that he did. Overall, from who is saying it and who they are comparing Kendrick to and putting him alongside, let's just face it, and I know people on that other side are going to act like this doesn't matter, but this is the peak in a lot of ways of what you can reach and how elite of company that you can be put into, which is where the first problem starts. You cupcake lovers, you just don't get it on a fundamental level. At Disneyland and holding a Starbucks cup and making Drake and Academics and all the losers crash out over that was bad. Wait until you see that for this list and for the occasion, Kendrick decided to come outside, meet with the people from the Times, and do a photo shoot. Which you see where this is already going after Kendrick Lamar gave us his first photo shoot and his first headshot, since, well, the one that created the iconic memes that you are looking at right now. Well, Kendrick has managed to make all the cupcakes cry for what should be no reason. There is no other artist who literally lining up to a camera and doing nothing is this important. But when you are the best rapper in the world, I guess you're popping out to show that you wanted to be a part of this to this level.
Just gonna accept that. I'm just gonna accept him as the best rapper in the world. That's a big statement.
Or this is the treatment you get because they are worked up about it and they are now mad at Kendrick for taking a picture, which if you are a Drake fan, can you see yourself right now? Which just with this already, it's so funny that Drake has announced this supposed album that is going to change and save hip hop and it's less than 2 weeks away. And the biggest conversations in hip hop of the week are around Kendrick and Jay-Z. But before we get to Hov for Kendrick, I hope you all understand that beyond his own success, beyond his own music, and beyond the power of his fans, all of you clowns who get mad at Kendrick, not just for doing something that is antagonizing what you believe in, but for doing like normal things, just going and taking a picture or going to Disneyland.
I can't lie, being mad at Kendrick Lamar for taking a picture is actually insane. That's jobless behavior. I'm not gonna lie. I know that's ironic coming from me, but I'm just saying that's crazy.
Kendrick Lamar has pretty much been anointed now as the biggest and most dominant rapper of all time in terms of how much attention they command over the rest of the field. And it's not even remotely close when you just think about the difference between the number one spot, who of course is Kendrick, and then everybody else. And again, if you complained about this, or you made it worse and complained about how Kendrick Lamar was the only active rapper put on this songwriters list other than Young Thug, and Drake wasn't there. That was the person you were mad that wasn't on a songwriters list. I mean, you guys just gotta learn to pick what your stances are.
Also, another point that was brought up, it's an American songwriters list. Drake is Canadian, so technically he shouldn't be on that list, technically.
Has more power and why he can continue to melt the Iceman without even doing one thing and without even saying a word. But you feel that? Speaking of melting Icemen, the Iceman, or whatever other cringe king is coming our way, who has just gotten as much attention as Kendrick Lamar with the release of this monumental music list and well moment, has been none other than the other guy who everyone loves to blame for all their problems, rap gets mad at every time he comes out, or at least the half of the genre that doesn't even understand what hip-hop is, I should say. And well, right alongside Kendrick Lamar is just a force who leads things forward, but half the genre tries to act like he does the opposite at all times to try and cope for their own failure, or for their favorite artist's own failure, or just for their lack of understanding in general. And who am I talking about? Well, of course, is none other than Jay-Z. And with Jay being a part of this list and getting a front cover page for it, he is another one who came out to do the shot and didn't just stop there. Well, especially when we look at the interview that Jay-Z did and the effects that it's already starting to have. Well, it does seem like now, looking at the events that Jay-Z has planned out and thought through to start off this year, he is really lining up both events like live shows and moments like this to create a massive run that, first off, is reminding people of who Jay-Z really is and what he really cares about after so many people have tried to chime in on that debate.
I'll be honest, like when we're talking about the GOAT debate, like at least in hip hop, Jay-Z is definitely up there. I'm not gonna lie. I know that there's like some controversies around like, the whole his record label and everything like that, or his company rather, Rock Nation. But in terms of just Jay-Z himself, I mean, that dude is in the GOAT conversation for sure, bro.
Everybody remembering who Jay-Z, the rapper, really is. And well, with it all leading up to his first shows in almost a decade this year as a headlining act with his 3 nights that are going to be played at Yankee Stadium. I can't wait for that. Well, listen, I don't know, but all of it seems like it's going to be leading up to a new album or something else that we just don't know and don't understand. And this time around, what has just set this off all the more is Jay-Z sitting down with the times and talking through the music and his ability as a writer and not trying to be this critic of the culture, or somebody in rap who was closer to their farewell season than their rookie one. And by doing that, Hove has won everybody over and sent messages that are shaking and even sculpting the future of the rap game in a lot of ways. Of course, besides for the loser side of this genre and the people who are unironically waiting for a new album to drop called Iceman.
This video is kind of biased. Dang, like I'm a Drake fan. Like I'm waiting for Iceman to drop too. Like these feel like targeted shots at me. Like what the hell? Listen, I'm a Drake fan, but I'm not a Kendrick Lamar hater either. You know what I mean? Just like how I'm a little Uzi fan, but I'm not a who is he beefing with? Roddy Rich. I'm not a Roddy Rich hater either. You know what I mean? I just have artists I enjoy listening to, but nah, this video feels targeted. Like, yeah, really? It's like that? That's crazy. Okay.
As they are saying that after stepping on his words or hiding his full stance, well, Hove has revealed that he despises Drake after all, and he is pulling out the industry's plan to sabotage Drake and take him down. And we don't even got to get into all that slop. The reason why they are saying this is because in the sit down interview that Jay did with the Times in front of the camera, where he is speaking straight to us, well, let's pull up the quote. I tell people all the time never to fight against the future. The future is coming. Artists were trying to recreate something that was already done, but they connected to it like that. They were fighting against gravity as opposed to telling their story. We needed that other side. We needed to hear what happens when you have 4 successful albums. What happens? What does that feel like? How does it feel like? How did you get in the studio? How are your kids? How do you interact with them as this hip hop dad? But if you're trying to make young music and you're not young, it's going to be inauthentic, and people can feel that, people can smell it. So best thing anyone can do going through music is tell their story and keep creating from that space. I love what the Clips are doing, and then Hove goes on to explain that he loves the Birds Don't Sing song and the experiences that Push and Malice shared on that record about their parents and the maturity of that song overall. And that was just kind of proving the point he was making on evolving in music and how to evolve in music and as a writer. And with this moment right here and with this quote, this absolutely sent off that other side of hip hop and put them in one of the biggest meltdowns that I've ever seen.
Yo, Drake and Lil Yachty have some generational collabs. I'm not gonna lie.
That Iceman album dropping May 15. But it seems like what Hove said is melting them all right here and all together like the absolute bunch of cornball losers that they are. Because with them being so enraged and saying that this is a Drake diss and that this is Jay-Z dissing Drake and sending a message and trying to step on Iceman, this is a classic if the shoe fits moment. And with Jay-Z saying this and talking about the greatest writers in music and with people that aren't even mentioned or thought about in the whole stratosphere, of course the Drake stans took this as an insult and a jab to Drake, and of course they have freaked out the way they did, because
crazy.
you know why? They know it. This does apply to Drake. You wouldn't get so mad if Jay-Z didn't say anything and you never thought this about Drake whatsoever. And that's why, even with the intention of Jay-Z, whether he meant this about Drake or he didn't, it does not matter, because the point has been made and it's clear who it applies to, as it's been reflected so obviously in the cultural zeitgeist. And I know I already said it, but I just want to look at what my guy Screw said, which is really just doubling down on the point I'm making altogether. And I think it's absolutely hilarious. And again, coming from somebody who, just like me, is always calling out this stuff, again, it just is all really fitting. But Screw says, Jay said, act your age, and people automatically took it as a shot to Drake, not realizing you automatically jump into Drake means you think he's doing what Jay is saying. And then Screw goes on to say what Jay said was a fact, and he's telling you it will come off as fake when you pretend in your music. It wasn't addressed to any one person, but deep down inside, y'all feel this about Drake, so it's a shot.
Bro, this rollout for Iceman has been crazy. This is this the best album rollout ever? I'm just asking the question. This Iceman rollout has been insane. I really enjoyed it. Feel me? I'm excited for the album. Feel me? Like I just want to say that. I just want to say that. You know what I mean? Give a little bit of balance, you know?
And it just shows the clownery on display here because not just are these people showing that anytime Jay Z or Kendrick Lamar does anything, they are ready to throw out that victim card and somehow try and flip it to Drake and how he is the most hated man in the industry, or whatever they keep saying. And honestly, this has all just been one terrible Freudian slip, where everybody on the Drake side, from academics down, has shown that deep down inside, they know this sentiment applies to Drake, and the fans and the stans have just validated it and they can't take it back. And I mean, there's so many other layers that are funny to this, just even with the fact that we got this really interesting songwriters list from the New York Times that Jay-Z and Kendrick Lamar are both participating in very direct ways. And Jay-Z is really being the figurehead of right now altogether with the interview and the cover, not just like Kendrick, who did the cover alone. But I mean, with all of this interesting commentary, Pusha T has spoken on Jay-Z and George Clinton has spoken on Kendrick Lamar, and there are so many other artists speaking on artists. This is almost like actors with actors, that whole thing that's done with Variety every year. I mean, overall, to just see a list that is honoring Jay-Z, Young Thug, Kendrick Lamar, Outkast, and Missy Elliott.
Wonder if Iceman is gonna have like a lot of Kendrick Lamar disses and just like disses to people in the industry in general, or if he's gonna take like a different route with it.
Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, Carole King, and people like that. The fact that this is the reaction we are seeing from the Drake community, it shows why Drake is never going to be remembered in this list. And it has nothing to do with just being an industry plan or a sellout or somebody who plays this terrible, evil game, because it has nothing to do with that at all. A lot of these artists have not done that. And it's just this plain fact and idea that Drake is a cheat, and while these artists have wrote songs and wrote records that have reflected their lives, and honestly, their career in of itself has been a reflection of that. I mean, look at Jay-Z, for example. The audience he made music for in the 2000s, well, it's the same audience he makes music for in the 2020s, not in terms of the demographic, but in terms of the actual people, because Jay-Z has made music for himself and his fans have grown with him, which is why he's had fans for decades and decades.
I agree with the Jay-Z point. He's about to diss Drake again. But I agree with the Jay-Z point. I do agree with the Jay-Z point, but he's about to shit on Drake again. But it's all good, man. It's all good.
Where you compare that to somebody like Drake, who literally makes music over and over again for that same demographic that Jay-Z made music for a single year in his life. Drake is always making music for the young audience, for the trends, and for whatever's hip and cool. And that's why, despite the numbers always seeming good, he doesn't have cultural cachet. And that's despite why the numbers always pumping up and always looking like Drake is bigger than he is. When it comes to moments like this, both from peers and people that actually matter and things that actually hold significance.
Drake doesn't have cultural cachet? I don't know. I mean, I don't agree with that. I think he has a lot of cultural cachet. I think if you were around from the early 2010s onward, you would have seen the cultural impact that Drake has had, not only in the hip hop community, but actually just globally outside of the hip hop community. He's even had cultural cachet just globally, that's transcended even hip hop, but also within hip hop.
Drake can never win. You know why? Because people like Kendrick Lamar, they really captivate the moment by being themselves, while Drake can only captivate a moment by trying to recreate the moment. Drake is unoriginal. He scribbled in his notepad and created his whole life to pull up a Jay-Z bar in lieu of this conversation. And that's why we are just here, and that's why for people like Jay and Kendrick.
Listen, I'm gonna stop watching this. No. Listen, shout out to this YouTuber, shout out to this channel. Um, he's doing his thing. You feel me? I'm subscribed to him. I like watching people with other viewpoints and things of that nature, but I can't agree. I can't agree. I'm not gonna get too deep, but I can't agree, bro. I can't keep watching that. But listen, let me know what you guys think about this video. Are you in agreement with him? Listen, shout out to Fantastic Hip Hop. I will leave the whole video as well as the channel in the description below. Listen, I love watching people with other viewpoints. I love watching what Kendrick Lamar fans have to say. Once again, I'm a fan of Drake, right? I prefer Drake over Kendrick Lamar, but I'm not a Kendrick Lamar hater. It's just a preference in terms of the music, right? Um, but let me know what you guys think of what we've heard of the news of his upcoming album. Let me know what you guys think the vibe will be and some of the songs we'll get on the new album. Let me know if you guys, we've heard that it's going to be an album similar to like his, um, like Scorpion, um, and like, his really rapping albums, right? Not so much that lovey-dovey singing stuff. So that's what we've heard, that it's going to be like a hard-hitting bars album, which, that's a Drake that I like. I'm not a fan of when he sings, but when he raps, yeah, I'm a fan. But that's me though. But let me know what you guys think of the video that we just saw. Let me know what you guys think of the whole Iceman rollout. And I will see you guys actually later today on Twitch. And on YouTube, I will see you guys in the next video. We are out. We are out.